Hello and welcome to the Franchise Marketing Show. This episode was recorded at the International Franchise Show at the Excel. So although we use some really good microphones, there is some background noise going on, so there's some announcements going on because obviously it was a really busy show. But the content is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed recording these interviews and I hope you enjoy watching/listening to them as well. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Franchise Marketing Show. I'm Steph and we are live at the International Franchise Show, and I've been joined by Aaron from NatWest. Hi Aaron.
Hey.
Lovely to have you join us.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, for those who don't know who you are, do you want to give us a little bit of information about yourself?
Of course, yes. I'm Aaron Britton, so I'm a franchise development manager for NatWest franchise team. So obviously NatWest Bank, very well-known company and a big high street bank in the UK. But we actually have a specific franchise team at NatWest supporting franchisors and franchisees around the UK.
Excellent. And what kind of things do you do to support the franchise industry?
So my job is to work with franchisors, really understand their brand, the background of their brand, how their plans and goals moving forward, kind of all the training involved that they support with franchisees and so on. And then when they've got a new franchise prospect, that's where we come into play. So they'll introduce them to me. We'll then look to support that franchisee with funding, banking, other supported products to help them kickstart their journey.
It sounds really good. It sounds like hard work as well.
It's good fun, really rewarding when you see a brand, especially like it's great looking after some of the existing brands that are already very established, but really rewarding when you see a new brand kind of starting their franchise journey and then being a part of that journey moving forward, and then seeing them develop into something quite big.
Yeah, that must be really nice.
Yeah.
So Aaron, how did you get into the franchise industry?
So I've been with the bank 17 years now.
Wow.
So a little while, starting to become part of the furniture. And I've looked after start-up businesses, your larger commercial-sized companies, and worked in a lot of different areas of banking as well. So different areas of finance, whether it's kind of your invoice finance, traditional finance, quite a real different mix. My kind of latest roles were quite heavily on networking and supporting businesses and business communities with different areas of growing businesses. So it could be kind of covering from not just finance but marketing, all the different areas of kind of business growth. And then kind of in the later roles, I've been a relationship manager, looking after a portfolio of clients, and inside that were some franchisees and franchisors. And then kind of more recently, about a year ago, joined the franchise team because we're growing and expanding because of how busy we are. So now all I do is just franchise.
That's nice because it's a nice industry, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I love it.
Yeah. So in terms of like business growth and development, what is the benefit of franchising to a business?
So I think the key thing is finding which way you're going to grow your business moving forward, and franchising being an option, and it's not right for everyone.
No, it's true.
It's finding out whether your business is franchisable. Have you got a model that someone else could follow? And making sure you've got all the documents and the processes in place. So someone, for example, like myself, I could go to a brand and go, I want to set up. Can I suppose not thinking about all the costs involved, but actually, can I follow your process to run your model exactly the same you do? And us as public and walking into maybe that store or using that service on the high street, you wouldn't know it's franchised because it's exactly the same as the original concept.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key bit about franchising. And it's an option to grow your business, but it isn't right for everyone. And it's just kind of diving into making sure that is the option, an option moving forward, and how you develop it from there.
Yeah. It sounds really good. And in terms of like individual people, Do you often get people coming to you who are not really that clued up about franchising that you can give advice to?
Yeah, all the time. So I often have conversations every week with businesses who have maybe thought about franchising but don't know much about it, and it's my job to kind of explore the different options for them, tell them a bit about how we support them if they were to become a franchisor, but also to provide like links to our network of contacts. So we've got, as you can imagine, we've got quite a substantial network of key contacts in the industry, and it's our jobs as franchise managers to link them up with the right people, to support them with maybe exploring that option, and then out the back of that they may become a franchisor, they may not.
It's quite an interesting journey to walk alongside someone in that respect and to kind of guide them in the right path.
Definitely. It's always really interesting, and some of the brands you come across as well, it's really interesting as well. New concepts, things that I'd never heard of before. But then obviously you get your traditional ones that you do see a fair few of, and from all different areas as well. So I personally look after a lot of new brands that are kind of setting up, but also new brands that may be more established internationally but coming to the UK. So it's really interesting when you see some of those brands coming to the UK, because even if it may be quite established in one of the other countries, have done really well, doesn't mean it's going to work in the UK.
It's true.
Because we are a different market.
Yeah, it's true. We've seen that with some clients as well. So Aaron, we first met at an EWIF event. Now I've got to ask you about women in business and that kind of thing. So over the years, I know you've only been with the franchise industry for a while, but like in terms of overall business, how are you seeing that developing for women starting businesses?
So at NatWest, we've got such a focus on women in business.
Brilliant.
So we've got women in business accredited relationship managers. So when I say accredited, you might be thinking, what is that?
What is that?
And I think I've gone through the accreditation myself, and it's understanding that typically women look at business different to men. So it's understanding the challenges that are involved and kind of changing that, and making sure that we're more inclusive and understanding those different challenges to make sure that we're encouraging women to start their own businesses. I suppose that's where it all kind of came from. NatWest does a lot on women in business. We were one of the first high street banks to have a woman CEO previously, which is fantastic. Really good to be a part of that. And then obviously we met at EWIF. Before that, I actually used to run a women's networking group, kind of in my local area in one of my previous roles. And it was only when I actually ran that network that I realised how beneficial it was to run women networking groups. Because I'd go to networking groups day in, day out. But when I ran this women's networking group in Winchester, actually, on this kind of first event, I realised that like the women in the room started like solving each other's problems because they were just chatting.
We see that.
That's it. You just chat about your problems. Typically, us men don't chat about our problems, and I was like, this is amazing. Like they're helping each other in business before even, kind of like without actually having to hear about the content in the event. And then off the back of that, I ran women in business events. And then actually the last event I ran was actually just before COVID because I then changed roles. We had about 100 women at an event in Portsmouth and it was just covering all different areas to grow your business, but it was a specific encouraging women into business, existing women leaders, and it was really, really good. And then obviously we met at EWIF, so it's kind of like just kind of continued because then it's now supporting women into franchising.
Which is like a different kind of ball game because the franchise industry is supportive. So you saying about women who are supporting each other in those business networking groups, we do that in franchising all the time. We just like support each other, collaborate. We're not competitive at all. So you must see a lot more of that kind of thing, and you were like, oh yeah, women are great.
That's it. Exactly. It's fantastic to see that actually supporting women in businesses across different sectors. So actually you've got, like what you do with eWith, you've got something specific for franchising and supporting the women in franchising.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear of, you know, the outcomes of that from contacts of my own of who really benefit from attending those meetings.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of the challenges that hold people back, not just women per se, but just people who might want to start a business but maybe kind of hold back, what kind of things do you see within NatWest that are those barriers?
So I think sometimes, you know, it's a scary place, isn't it? It's a scary place to just, if you're in an employed job, to then give up your work to run your own business. And so many people dream of actually being their own boss and wanting to do that. But it is scary doing it, and I've seen that. Like my wife's done it. She runs her own business, gave up employed. I've got friends who have given up their employment to run their own businesses. But it's kind of just having that drive to do it. But I suppose the key challenges behind it is, hey, we work obviously to earn money to pay our bills, and you know, depending on people's circumstances, everyone's got different costs. And actually, it's a worry to be able to just drop everything and go into the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Cash flow is a big worry, and that I suppose reflects on people's personal circumstances as well. But I think it's change, isn't it?
Yeah.
And people worry about change.
Yeah.
But it's for you and I being in kind of business networking and so on, we realise how much support there is to support businesses and to support especially new businesses who are starting. There's a massive support network out there, but these individuals may not know and not be aware of it. So it's up to us as organisations to spread that word and make sure that we're there supporting new businesses and people in business who are growing it.
So how do we do that?
I think we have a duty to introduce people to the different networks that we're aware of. So whether it's growth networks or just key contacts in our networks, there's such a wide spread of different areas of business and growing your business that people need support with. So it's up to us to kind of listen, understand their problems, or the individual's problems in business, their challenges that they're facing, and see who we know in our network to link them up. If it's funding, for example, especially in franchise, obviously you have an initial out cost to kind of buy in. That's where we come into play. If people need finance to do that, it's just been able to support from all angles rather than not just being a bank. It's actually how do we help them with all the different areas of business, rather than just kind of a bank account and funding. You know, there's a lot of different areas to think about.
Which is probably what most people would think, NatWest, bank, funding, finance. So the fact that you offer a more holistic approach to it, I think is, a lot of people are going to be like, that's news to me.
Well, exactly, and I have conversations like day in, day out of, especially obviously now in franchising, where people are setting up their new franchise and they've left maybe employed work or, you know, all different backgrounds, but as much as they're looking at a bank account and business finance and so on, there's other things that they need to think about, so like bookkeeping, accounting. It's like, how do we help with that? So the NatWest Group bought Free Agent, so every NatWest business account holder has Free Agent accounting software as part of their package with us. But that's just a different area of business that's really important to them, because actually doing their books, doing their accounts is a key part of business, and it's something that you wouldn't think the bank would traditionally do.
No.
So we've diversified a lot over the last good few years of how do we support businesses and our business customers with different areas of this business and business growth rather than just being a bank. And that's kind of where we brought Free Agent in. We have a health and safety service, or we have card payment merchant services. There's a lot more to maybe what you see as your high street bank.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting for people to know that, because they might not be aware of that. You know, aspect of what you offer. especially to businesses who are just starting up. So
Exactly, yeah. Definitely.
So we're here at the International Franchise Show. Why is NatWest here?
So obviously we are huge in franchising. We do a lot to support franchise, and it's great to be a key sponsor this year. It's a fantastic show. There's lots of brands in the show today and yesterday that we already look after and we work with, so they're like clients. I've found it really rewarding where there's some brands that are here who I've supported to get to the journey of where they are today, where maybe a year ago they were still new on their franchising journey, but also there's still many brands here which are new to the UK and franchising, maybe franchising their business for the first time, that might need our support moving forward.
Yeah, and that's quite nice because you can then have the face-to-face interaction and
Exactly.
just being around people.
There's nothing better than meeting people face to face, is
No,
there?
there's
People buy people at the end of the day,
They
don't
do,
it? It's all
they
a
do.
relationship.
Yeah, we say that a lot.
Yeah.
People buy from people. So obviously you're kind of mentoring a lot of brands and people that are kind of joining franchises and that kind of thing. Who have you found to be someone that you look up to, like a role model or a mentor in the industry?
Crikey.
Apart from Kate, obviously.
Yeah, apart from my team at NatWest, because they'll shoot me if I didn't give them a mention. I think that I'm not going to name anyone because there's just so much support kind of in the franchise network, and I've met some really inspirational people in the year that I've been here.
Yeah.
And everyone, actually this show a year ago was my first show that I'd come to, which was specifically franchise.
Yeah.
And I was only 2 weeks into the new role, so it was like a big new space to
Baptism
come
of
into.
fire.
And so many people I'd met a year ago at this show had said to me, like, actually, give it a year, and suddenly you'll know so many people. And it's like a community. It's a really close community. It's so true. It's
Yeah.
mad to think like a year later, there's so many inspirational people I've met, and there's so many people that I find every day you learn something new.
Yeah.
And you've just got to use the knowledge that's kind of in the room today, because there's
Yeah.
some people that have been in franchising for so many years,
Yeah, that's
and there's
true.
so much to learn.
Yeah.
And people's experiences differ from each other as well, so there's so many experiences you can learn from. So
Yeah.
I couldn't put it down to like a couple, because there's so many people I just love finding out, and more like a year later, even though there's people I've met a year ago, you find out something new about them every day.
Every day's a school day.
Yeah, exactly, and it's great.
Excellent. Aaron, it's been really interesting talking to you. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. I won't ask you, like, I've been ending my conversations, like asking people if you were going to buy a franchise.
Oh,
I
God.
won't do that to you, because obviously, you know.
I couldn't do that. There's too many to choose from.
Exactly. We don't upset anyone. But yeah, I've really appreciated having you come and speak to us, and I think a lot of people will be like, they will have learned something about what you offer at NatWest, so I think that's really
Would
helpful.
love to chat more. Obviously there's so much more that I probably missed today, and yeah, it's really to encourage that we are, you know, we're open to talk, we're open to support at NatWest, so if people want to come and chat to us, that's what we're all about.
Excellent. And how would someone find out how to speak specifically to the franchise team?
So the franchise team you can find on our NatWest website. When you go onto the business and the franchise page, you'll see the mugshot of me and my colleagues on there, and then you'll have our contact numbers and email addresses on there, and our central franchise team mailbox as well. So yeah, please reach out. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter as well, and would absolutely love to help anyone who's looking at an opportunity or see if we can support in any way.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.